Welcome back to the second video of me covering Sahil's excellent book, The Minimalist Entrepreneur, which has really grown on me recently and has become one of my favorite books in no time. The book is about making a difference in the world while making a living, and it cuts right to the chase, so I want to do the same. In part 1, we covered what minimalist entrepreneurship is, why everyone should start a business, and how to find out what problem to solve and how to approach your first solution. I ended the video by giving you an order of your first steps. Start with community. Find people with the same interests through subreddits, Discord server, or Facebook groups. If the community doesn't exist, well, create it. In the community, you find out what bothers people who share the same interests with you. So you find the problem that you can solve with a product or service. Next up, build a manual viable process. You don't need any technology or automation to get started. Manually solve the problem for a few people to make learnings and see if they are willing to pay for a solution. And this part is quite essential. You need to get paid, because being a minimalist entrepreneur includes making a living. Sahil highlights that you should charge from day one. When a product starts out free, it's hard to convince someone to pay later on. Most transactions have an upside and a downside, but when something is free, we forget the downside. Free gives us such an emotional charge that we perceive what is being offered as immensely more valuable than it really is. Free users don't necessarily convert to paying users. It attracts a lot of bargain hunters. A lot of software products operate on a freemium model. You get some functionality for free, but have to pay for the rest of the features. Here Sahil makes an interesting point. He argues that you should add a free tier later on and not at the beginning. This once again goes against the grain of what's typical for VC-funded tech companies. Most of them don't care about profit at all and just want to onboard loads of users before charging at some point. So once again, it becomes clear that minimalist entrepreneurship favors profit over growth. Doing it this way is also an immediate stress test to your product idea. Are people willing to pay for it? Because if they are not, you are not solving a problem that's important enough for them. Your first real milestone is to sell to 100 customers. This of course varies a little bit depending on your product, because sometimes you charge like $5 per month, other times you charge $100 per month. So 100 customers, maybe it's 1,000 customers for you. It depends a little bit on what you're building, but the general number would be between 100 and 1,000 customers probably. What comes to mind here is Kevin Kelly's article 1,000 True Fans. I talked about it before in my video on building an audience, but it's just as important in this context. To be a successful creator, you don't need millions. You don't need millions of dollars or millions of customers, millions of clients or millions of fans. To make a living as a craftsperson, photographer, musician, designer, author, animator, app maker, entrepreneur or inventor, you need only thousands of true fans. If you think about it, 1,000 customers at $85 per month is $1 million per year. And so 10,000 of customers at $850 per month is, once again, $1 million per year. Now notice how Kevin Kelly defines a true fan. A true fan is defined as a fan that will buy anything you produce. These die-hard fans will drive 200 miles to see you sing. They will buy the hardback and paperback and Audible versions of your book. They will pay for the best of DVD version of your free YouTube channel. They will come to your chef's table once a month. If you have roughly 1,000 of true fans like this, also known as super fans, you make a living. If you are content to make a living, but not a fortune. And this last sentence states what minimalist entrepreneurship is about. Being content with making a living, but not a fortune. Sure, it can turn into a fortune, but that's not the primary goal. More important is creating what you want to create and solving problems for your fans. Well, first of all, you need to get fans. So, how to get fans? I think a few traits are obvious here, like honesty and transparency and simply being authentic. If you really want to get paid in this world, you want to be number one at whatever you do. It can be niche, that's the point. You can literally get paid for just being you. Some of the more successful people in the world are that way. Oprah gets paid for being Oprah. Joe Rogan gets paid for being Joe Rogan. They are being authentic to themselves. In the book, you find a whole chapter on this exact topic. It's called Market by Being You. On top of just being who you are, you need to provide value. In the information age, everyone is a journalist, creator, and increasingly a minimalist entrepreneur and owner. Maybe you just haven't realized it for yourself yet. According to Sahil, there are 3 levels that matter for winning an audience, and they get progressively harder. Level 1 is to be educational. Level 2 is to be inspirational. And level 3 is to be entertaining. I believe that I'm somewhere between levels 1 and 2. Getting back to the true fans, you can look at quality and quantity here. I would rather have 1,000 people who really like what I do, watch every video, send me messages with their thoughts, and maybe even spend money on things that I create because they want to be involved, than having 100,000 people watching, but I don't know any of them, and they are just mildly interested in 1 or 2 of my videos. To raise quantity and quality, you should share as much as you can for free. This does not only increase the amount of eyeballs on your content or product, it also enables idea recombination. Clips from some of my videos have been used by other creators in their videos, and I think that's great. It's this composability known from open software that is coming to content as well. But what does all of this mean in the context or perspective of your company or your product? Well, it means that you should share your story. The whole inspiration for writing the book came from an article that Sahil wrote beforehand, reflecting on my failure to build a billion-dollar company. This is what transparency and authenticity looks like, while at the same time providing value in the form of learnings to other founders. I really like this transparent and open culture approach. Sahil does this at Gumroad, and so does Sumit Kumar with his product Parquet. He shares all his learnings from building a product and numbers on YouTube to help and inspire others. It reminds me of a quote by Balaji, which is actually increasingly becoming my favorite ever quote, because I think about it a lot and it's so simple and concise. Win and help win. Win and help win is the better version of win-win situations. Another perfect example for why sharing your story is a good idea is Shane Parrish. He built his whole business, Farnham Street, by simply sharing with others what he learned. And all of this matters, because you're building customers, fans, connections for life. Here's another great quote from the book. A sale is not the end, but the beginning of a relationship. And guess what? People probably buy your product because your true fans spread the word, not because they saw an advertisement. It's much easier to turn a customer into a repeat customer than a non-customer into a customer. And repeat customers are better at turning non-customers into customers than you are. By the way, you should really follow Sahil on Twitter. I just recently dug through some of his older tweets and found one gem after another. Now, speaking of advertisements, or ads, Sahil's Gumroad never did any. Neither does Sumit with Parquet or Elon Musk with Tesla. Ads are expensive and targeted at growth instead of profit. Sahil says you should spend money last, only when you already know what's working and want to accelerate. A rule of thumb could be that you can start thinking about ads after you reach 100 or 1,000 customers. SEO content marketing next to your organic social media audience building is the long-term bet that pays off and is free. Well, it's not really free, it costs your time, but not your money. And of course, that's an important factor as well, and my last point for this video. Most startups run out of energy before they run out of money. So make sure to take care of both. Take care of yourself, play long-term, and win. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and took something out of it. There is still much more to learn from Sahil's book, The Minimalist Entrepreneur, so check it out. I can highly recommend it. Sahil has been quite revolutionary when it comes to crowdfunding and turning his fans into investors, as well as his company policies of no deadlines or meetings. You can even get a job at Gumroad at this point without even ever talking to a human. I find that what he tries is immensely fascinating, so it's probably not the last time that I talk about him and his pursuits. So thank you for watching. I would appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for further content, and then I see you next time.